Humanity has always imagined about the possibility of knowing what other people think. So how close are we to reading people's minds and developing mind-reading technology? Actually closer than you think. By attaching specialized devices to your brain or head, you could just use your thoughts to play music and even type messages in the future. Facebook was working in that type of technology just a few years ago. This type of technology could be used in courtrooms and to prevent suicides and to detect lies and solve murders. But sadly, all this could also mean that we'll lose the whole meaning of privacy. A lot of top companies are involved in this and a lot of research is going on. Many experts believe that it's only a matter of time until we get our hands on this type of mind-reading technology. And it's not science fiction. The human brain has almost 86 billion neurons. We can track the electrical pulses within the neurons and get to know a lot about our brain activity. Whenever we think something, there is electrical activity in the brain. So we are developing brain-computer interfaces, which are ways in which a computer can take information directly from the brain without you having to type or speak it in. It then translates that into some kind of action, like moving a prosthetic arm with your mind. And we can do this by using artificial intelligence and sophisticated algorithms. Machine learning is used to analyze complex patterns of activity in a person's brain. Like when they think of a specific number or object, read a sentence, experience a particular emotion, or learn a new type of information. Researchers will then be able to read minds and know the person's specific thoughts and emotions. But I'm pretty sure that even the researchers would start to tear up when they hear my recorded thoughts and emotions. In addition to that, scientists can do even more. For example, electrical activity in a preschooler's brain can be used to predict how well the child will be able to read when they go to school. Imagine bullying a 6-year-old just because their brain scan said they won't do well in school. Labeling a child like that doesn't seem fine to me. Some neuroscientists even believe that we can find out whether a person is contemplating suicide simply by watching how the person's brain responds to hearing words like death or happiness or class is over and you can go home, as people tend to conceal their thoughts of suicide even from loved ones and therapists. Such brain hacking to uncover that someone is thinking of suicide could be life-saving. But for that, we would need to scan and analyze their brain activity, and then we can draw conclusions based on how much it deviates from a normal person. Which brings us to the question, at what point do we remove a person from a society because their brain activity deviates from what is considered normal? Well, we don't know the answer to that question, but looking at the results of some experiments can really give us an idea about how fantastic and also how scary this technology really is. In a recent study, neurotechnology was used to give mice the perception of vision when things were actually not present. Researchers from Columbia University recorded brain activity of mice when they were looking at a screen. Then they removed everything, placed the mice in a dark room, and tried to induce the perception of vision of what they recorded earlier using lasers. They said that the mice responded as if they were actually watching the screen. They said that the same could be used to even change their behavior. So neurotechnology was used to plant the perception or idea of seeing something, even though it was not actually there. I do that every day when I imagine my crush next to me when she is not actually there. Well, that experiment was conducted just on mice, but let that sink in for a moment. But let me tell you how the results of the above experiment could quickly get out of control in the future, because they also spoke about the possibility of planting an idea or thought or even inducing hallucination using this. Kind of like Inception, maybe a new supervillain may arise. The researchers also said that they were actually doing this to understand about the cortex of the brain, and they were trying to bring focus to the positive aspects of these results. He said that this had the potential to be the future treatment of diseases like schizophrenia. He added that if it's possible with mice, then it wouldn't be science fiction to do the same with humans as well. Like mice and humans are similar. But wait, we hear so much stuff about Elon Musk and his recent breakthroughs with Neuralink. But we have to understand that brain stimulation to modify behavior and treat illnesses has been going on from the 1970s. As you know, people as well as scientists were kind of shady in the past, and there has been some really crazy experiments. For instance, neuropsychologist Robert Heath at Tulane University inserted electrodes into a homosexual man's brain to, and I quote, cure him of his homosexual nature by stimulating his brain's pleasure center. Another Spanish neuroscientist used brain stimulation in monkeys, people, and even in a charging bull to control them at will by pushing buttons on his radio-controlled device and energizing electrodes implanted in the brain. Controlling movements, altering thoughts, evoking memories, rage and passion were all at his fingertips. And all of this was happening already 50 years ago. But the real frightening problem starts here. So basically, there are two types of neurotechnology, invasive and non-invasive. Invasive neurotechnology involves neurosurgery and sometimes involves attaching electrodes to the brain. By beaming electrical or magnetic pulses through the scalp and by implanting electrodes in the brain, researchers and doctors can treat a vast array of neurological and psychiatric disorders, from Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, Parkinson's disease to chronic depression. So it's all kind of good to this extent. This is also the kind of stuff Elon Musk wants to do with his company Neuralink. They want to add a layer above the cortex that works symbiotically with us. Elon describes it as a Fitbit to the skull. He feels like this will be the only way that humanity has a chance of competing with artificial intelligence, and he believes that we will have a cyborg future. I don't know about you, but I have one rule which I follow in life: never trust billionaires. Of course, I leave the rest to you. And then there is non-invasive neurotechnology that doesn't involve surgery and just involves attaching or wearing stuff on your head. This is the kind that we should worry about because this falls outside the umbrella of medicine and falls under consumer electronics. Wearables that could effectively read minds can take at least another 10 to 15 years to develop. We could maybe have this type of stuff on Amazon. Maybe we'll have overreacting YouTubers do an unboxing video of them. But the problem is that we currently don't have any laws that prevent companies from accessing our brain data and perhaps even misusing them. In 2017, Facebook, otherwise known as Meta, announced that it would be creating a non-invasive BCI that will let people type just by imagining the words they want to say. While the results showed some promise, it ultimately failed, just like a lot of Mark Zuckerberg's attempts. The reason why this failed is because these BCIs can only decode the neural signals associated with attempted speech or the physical art of articulation. And what I mean by that is that you have to try to say what you want to type inside of your head, but actually not say it out loud. Make sense? But if someone just imagines saying a sentence in their head, but doesn't at least attempt to physically articulate it, it is unclear how and where in the brain the imagined sentence is conceived. It is possible to decode and read out some of these signals to some degree, but this is still far off mind reading. Maybe it can be called mind glimpsing. Mind reading would require a full understanding of the language of the brain, and the truth is that we don't fully understand the language of the brain yet. It is indeed a very exciting time period to be studying neuroscience. Now let's see another challenge we have to face in order to read minds and destroy the very concept of privacy. And that is the neural signals in the brain are often noisy and decoding them is extremely difficult. We would face the same example if we would want to make a BCI to, for example, play music with just our thoughts. It is very difficult to filter out the play music command in the middle of all the other thoughts like, will I pass the upcoming exam? Or why did I laugh like that at the waiter 7 years ago? And all the other stuff. It will be difficult to track thoughts deep inside the brain, and researchers ask that how you will actually know for sure that it's a brainwave and not some other electrical changes happening between the head and neck, like the signals responsible for blinking coming from the cranial nerves. And how do you even distinguish noise from brainwaves when a person is moving? And how can you trust all these companies that they would use your data ethically? Definitely not me. They would be having access to all our thoughts and memories. Of course, you could tell them to stop collecting your data, but they could easily get away with it by saying that they are collecting it only to improve their services. And let's be honest here, no one actually trusts Facebook. We certainly cannot ban the technology altogether either. That would be foolish. It could have life-saving medical applications, and always preventing the development of a technology will only lead it to be developed anyway, but this time in an unsupervised and illegal manner. And that is exactly why we need neuro rights. Is it just me, or am I hearing the word right too much these days? And nobody talks about lefts. Anyways, neuro rights are new human rights that protect brain activity from unintended use of neurotechnology. This includes the right to mental privacy, so that the content of our brain activity cannot be deciphered without our consent, and no one will know that you ate that leftover food in the fridge, even though your mom warned you not to. The right to personal identity, so that no one tampers with our already ugly personality, and the right to free will, so that we can make our own stupid decisions from our own brain activity and not by others who are influencing our brain activity from outside. The Republic of Chile has already made changes to its constitution regarding this, and several other countries are about to follow. The bottom line is that we will not be having any legit mind-reading technology for at least another 10 to 15 years, with the current existing challenges. Who knows, it could take even longer. So you can confidently keep all your secrets safe to yourself and sleep peacefully in the night. And that's a promise from me. But what if someone comes to know about your deepest and darkest secrets without you telling them? Or let's say someone found out what you were thinking about that cute teacher in history class. How would you feel about that? Shocked? Betrayed? Would you be in constant fear all the time? What could possibly be more private than a thought, right? Let's say someone gives you a mind-reading headset that can read other people's thoughts. For what purposes would you use such fascinating technology? Or would you use it to find out if your crush really loves you back? Let me know in the comments. I can read your mind that you now want to exit from this video since it's over, but before you do that, do consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notifications, and I'll see you later then.